I want to ride with Joe Burrow, but they've played in a lot of close games, and the Raiders have actually been one of the better close team games in the NFL. When the game gets very close, they've won every game they've played in overtime this year, and it just seems like for whatever reason they'll make some key plays and some big stops. Now they didn't do it to get into overtime against the Chargers; they let them right back in the game. But I think the Bengals will win. I just think it'll be closer than most people anticipate. I think the Raiders are going to ride that high a little bit, keep this game more interesting than they probably should. I mean, we've buried the Raiders multiple times on this very show, and they somehow continue to rise up from the dead. So going to Cincinnati, I think it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. I just don't see a scenario in which the Bengals, because of some of their issues, especially in the defensive side of the ball in their secondary, end up just completely containing the Raiders. I think they're going to run the ball on them. I think they're going to keep it close. They're going to slosh it up. I'll say the Raiders cover the 6.
I agree. I agree with all that. I think the Raiders will cover. I think it will be close. I would not be surprised if the Raiders win. Now, I did mention, Ben, before you came on, Carr's awful in bad weather. Awful. He's never won a game under 35 degrees, and it's supposed to be 27. So does that matter? I think it does. I think mentally it does. They're on the road. They're a warm weather team. They're a dome team. You're going to Cincinnati. Now, the flip side of that is neither one of these teams have ever been here. The Bengals haven't won a playoff game since 1991. Okay, excuse me, since 1990, January of 91, the 1990 season. The Raiders have not won one since 2002. So you have two teams. No, the coaches have never been to a playoff game. The quarterbacks have never been to a playoff game. Carr got his team to the playoffs once. He didn't play because he was hurt. Like, this is a game where I think anything's possible because you don't know how these teams are going to react to this. The game, in my eyes, the biggest matchup in this game, can Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue force a turnover or two with Burrow? They are going to hit him. They're going to get pressure. The Bengals' offensive line is brutal. You know, Crosby this year, TJ Watt we'll talk about here in a second. He's had an unbelievable year, right? 22.5 sacks, all-time record, the whole deal. Crosby, I believe it is, has 40 more pressures than TJ Watt this year. Like, that feels impossible, and yet it's true. So the Raiders are going to get pressure. Can they turn that into a couple of big mistakes by the Bengals? But I like the Raiders to cover, the Bengals to win, and the over to hit. I think this is easily going to hit over.
We haven't seen Joe Burrow back on the field since he left the field, so I am curious what kind of condition Burrow is actually in. I'm assuming he's fine, but it'll be interesting to see what he and the other part of this, just the mental side. To me, the Raiders are playing with house money. You weren't supposed to be here. You should be flowing in here like, hey man, let's roll. Where Cincinnati, your season, whether it's successful or not, this is it's a little more on you. Go ahead.
I'm gonna add one more thing real quick. As somebody who has intimate history with this feeling, Chiefs couldn't win a playoff game forever. And let me tell you something. If something went wrong in one of those playoff games over those 22 years, they couldn't win a playoff game, you just started to clench as a Chiefs fan. You knew, like, oh God. Like, block punt, miss a field goal, whatever. Bengals fans, it's been literally 30 years since they've won a playoff game. If anything goes wrong early in that game, the energy in that stadium is going to be panic.